So this is working on my system. I finished off all relevant focuses. The only one I haven't finished off now is cremate bones. I have one more level to get on that, to go to 17. I'm not going to do that one until I have done some other works. I've got 100 AA saved up right now. I'm going for 210 to finish off my affliction efficiency. Now, this is my current system. The way I do this is I have my base spell set. This is the spell hit, so I can, if I'm not saved up, I hit Necro, and it will memorize this line. Then I have base. That's always going to be Call Skeleton Bones, Proclamation for Blood, Mind Atrophy, Cremate Bones to slow mobs. The tier 2 zones is where slowing becomes much more of an issue. I also have Infected Wounds memorized. That's mainly for tier 2 zones where it's taking me longer to kill the mobs than the tier 1. In the tier 1, what I do is memorize a tap. And that lets me heal myself up when necessary, or do a little extra damage, or heal the pet, because Reluctant Benevolence procs 30% of the time with this Maraud Essence. And so if my pet is going down a little bit, and I don't want to take time out to heal, I can tap. And the way I've set this up is, you see here, this is either going to be wounds, infected wounds, and I hit the number pad plus sign, and that will cast infected wounds. I have infected wounds set up separately because I don't want to risk recasting it as I'm doing my Alt 1, Alt 2, etc. It's made to be completely separate from my normal dot line. If I'm not using infected wounds, then I'm using the tap. And again, I can just hit the plus sign and tap up when necessary and hopefully trigger Reluctant Benevolence, which will give my pet a little bit more work. Now, when I am soloing, what I'm experimenting with right now is I cast initially Damvid's Grip of Decay, which is the combination disease dot. That's a controversial decision. A lot of people like to use are really moving towards the current high-level disease dots, the 116 plus. There is no replacement for combinations, so I still use this one. It also will trigger my flesh to venom, I mean, and it triggers when I use Proclamation for Blood. When I get Chaotic Power proc, these 2 dots that are triggered will also trigger that. So until they fix that, I'm very comfortable staying with the lower level dots. I'm going to reevaluate that when they fix it and start looking to see where does that play out. You know, as I'm now able to get Chaotic Power procs from that, I'm able to get Flesh to Venom procs, whatever they've upgraded that. So I cast and then I cast Scalding Shadow and Pyre of the Neglected. These are 3 long-term dots, and since I'm soloing, these get those dots up, it starts doing damage. Then I'll usually hit Call Skeleton Mass. That is really good DPS. Really good DPS. It's competitive with your top dot Pyre, if not better. So depending on the mob, you know, you're going to get 100,000 plus DPS out of it. So it's very good. It's worth doing. Then I go to Proclamation of Blood. And then I'll either start to cast my first 4 big dots that are shorter term, or I'll go ahead and do Mind Atrophy, depending on where I am in mana and how I feel like it at the time. So cast these 3. Then these 3, which are all triggered up here by hitting the Z button, and here it says Call Skeleton Mass is first. If that's down, then it goes Proclamation for Blood. If that's down, it'll do Mind Atrophy. And by kind of watching what I'm doing, I can, you know, control what's happening there. Then I'll go dot my big dots. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out now and show you I'm working on the mercenary quest where you're killing Zelanax. My pronunciation does suck. I admit that. It's either something that people can live with or it's a brutal flaw. So let's now move on. Okay, I put my mercenary on passive, and I invis myself. Now we go out, and the goal is to keep my mana in the 65 plus range with this setup. I can accelerate, and I can start doing, well over 500,000 DPS without even my burns if I choose to. So here we've got this. I always pull them a little away from where they are because a lot of times there's pathing issues where mobs will be intentionally pathing up here. Just a little too far away. Well, then we'll just do debuff. Pet, go get him. And then, just as a matter of good practice, I do hit control bones. I try and slow. I was unsuccessful that way. Now I'm going to hit my 3 long-term dots, get them on there, get them doing their job. I am not doing infected wounds here because this mob should be dead in a real time, but I'm getting the skeleton pets out there. They're going to start their damage. I've got mind atrophy going. So then I now hit the big dots. If I was in a group, I would just be doing the big dots and I would not be doing these slower dots. But I'm not in a group here, and so I'm just trying to come up with a decent, sustainable DPS. So I'll hit Death Bloom because I like to keep that on cooldown. Proclamation of Blood. And I've got all my dots that I'm going to be putting on there now. If I was low on mana a little bit, hit Marauder's Essence. Brings everybody up. If the pet was looking low, I would hit Marauder's Essence. I'm trying to trigger Reluctant Benevolence, which in this case I believe I did. Okay, I see some dots going down. I look at where the pet is. I'm generally going to do 2 big dots, and then I'm going to let it go. So I'm not going to go for max DPS. The skeleton mass, very efficient in this type of situation. And I can hit mind atrophy again, so that means I've gotten back about 20,000 up, and it looks like I'm low on health. So hit Marauder's Essence, bring that up. No use making my Merc work too hard. And, we've got the dots up there. I can trigger Call Skeleton Mass. It's down. Okay, so this is 428,000 DPS, which is about what I get with this system when I am not in a group. I'm not really trying to do great damage. But you see, here I am at full mana. Obviously, I hit Death Bloom probably. So we'll hit a snare. I'll let it come out a little bit away from it because, again, in my theory, these guys are often triggered where something will path up to them. And I'll go ahead and slow the mob or give it an attempt. Here, I'm not trying again and again to slow. This time it slows. Sticks, great. I'm going with my long-term dots because these are efficient. And then I go to my Z key. Get some more skeletons out there. They're doing great DPS. I hit Proclamation for Blood. You can see that's up there. And Chaotic Power is ticking down based on the disease dot. So now let's go ahead and put a big dot up there. We hadn't put those out there yet. So now the mob is going to start going down in health because now we're going... And this is meant to keep me in the 70%, 65% range of mana as I'm killing. So I'm trying to do decent DPS, but still keep my mana at a reasonable level. And so I'm refreshing after it fades. So I'm getting the full benefit of that dot. Now, in a group, I might not wait for it to fade. My pet's down a little bit of health. If I'm waiting in between, I can always hit Maraud Essence, get some Reluctant Benevolence going out there. Mob looks almost down, so I'll just send... Got a free dot, and he's dead. I always look for that. Sometimes you'll trigger Damned's Decay, and I don't have any other. So, put the pet on passive. I invis myself. And we look around for my next target. Okay, this guy looks like he's very... So let's see if I'm in range. Yeah, no. He's... Okay, he's coming out. We're moving away because I don't want him to get triggered by this guy. And then send in my pet. Give an attempt at slowing the mob. Gonna slow it because I got it in there. Do my lower dots. And now the Z key. There are so many ways to do your lineup that all end up in the same place. And what you're doing is you're playing with how much mana you want to keep and how much DPS you want to do. So now I'm going to lay on the big dots. Send out some more skeleton pets. And then I look where am I at. Is okay. Just refreshing some of these big dots. One more, and then we're going to let it go. Hit Death Bloom. And this is a system that, for me, I find very sustainable. It doesn't do, like, stellar damage, but I'm comfortable with what I'm putting out. So this is the system that I've modified based on input from my followers. In particular, I did finish off the focus for Zelnathax Pallid Haze, so that's incorporated now. And there's some dispute of which is better, Scalding Shadow or Pyre of the Neglected. I find I get a little more bang for the buck from Scalding Shadow, but they're very, very close, and whichever one you put in there. There's also Protected Grasp. That's a 15,000 DPS dot that does a lot of damage. You can work all of these different spells into your repertoire, but I think always it's going to include your Big Pyre, Extinction, Venom, and probably Pallid Haze. That's going to get you the bulk of your DPS. Again, this is my current system. It's a very easy to do system. I'm essentially hitting, I'm laying on, and laying on some dots. And as I said, I'm doing these first when I am out there solo and the fight's going to last a certain length of time. If I'm in a group, I probably won't be casting these at all. I will be casting these dots, these top 4 dots. And that's very mana efficient. I'm going to lay on skeleton swarms as much as I can because that's a very efficient, they're cost, a couple thousand mana points. And I would turn on my tribute to lower the cast time of my spells. There you are. This is the current system that I am using. It is one lineup that I used for grouping and for soloing. Now, what am I giving up? I'm not refreshing some of the pet buffs that I have all the time. I keep the rune in, but I don't have Cascade. There are things that I would do if tanking was a real issue and I was like fighting a name soloing or something where I need to keep the pet up. I often don't have any way of healing myself, but I can always feign and then, recover from there. But when I'm not using infected wounds, because these fights will be going pretty quick, I will put in Maraud Essence, and that gives me Reluctant Benevolence, and it heals myself up. So this is my current system. I change it all the time. I try different lineups here and there because that's the fun I get out of EverQuest is figuring out how to play a tune, how to get the most out of them, how to pull different things, this is it. This is what I do. And I like to group. I like to do missions. I just do a variety of things. I'll talk to you guys later. Short little video, or maybe not too short. We'll see. You guys take care. Bye.